It's been a long off season, but today is the day.
The 2024 ARCA Menards Series is back on the main stage, Daytona. Which new faces will make a name for themselves? And which drivers will score their first career win? The field is ready.
Green flag, green flag.
Are you? The ARCA Menards Series at Daytona starts now.
Welcome to Daytona International Speedway, the world's center of racing. Tonight, it's the Suchi Fast Track 200. It's a late night, but we are ready. It's time for the second race of the evening. We're so happy that you're joining us. We've got a stacked field. There they are, lined up and ready to go racing for 80 laps. We've got Shane Van Gisbergen, Tony Breidinger, Marco Andretti, you name it. I think they're in the field tonight, and we're so happy that you're here. Joining us tonight, I'm Jamie Little, back for yet another season along with Phil Parsons. And this guy, the 2022 Daytona 500 champion, Austin Cindric. Good to see you.
Good evening.
Yes, you know, something we always talk about in the ARCA Menards series, it's all about opportunity. I mean, for the young guys, for the older generation, we've got it all.
We've been using this ARCA Menards Series as a developmental series for NASCAR for over 50 years. My brother, when he started his career, was an ARCA champion before becoming a NASCAR champion. And right now, we saw what Jesse Love was able to do last year. He came here, he finally turned 18, he can run the entire series. He won 10 of our 20 races last year. And that propelled him into a full-time rider with Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series. There's all sorts of drivers here trying to do the same thing. The guy I have my eye on, the guy that may be the next Jesse Love, might be Andres Perez. He wasn't old enough to race here in February of last year, but he ran the rest of the schedule, had some great runs, probably should have won the race in Michigan, had an engine problem, but he's a guy that shows a lot of potential among a lot of other drivers too. But it's also a place that drivers can finish their careers and have a great time racing at the biggest stage that we have.
Yeah, and we talk about those younger drivers. How about Greg Van Alst in his 40s? Gets the win right here in Daytona. What a celebration. We'll talk more about him later on. But Austin, you're one of many drivers in all three levels of NASCAR who started here in the ARCA Menards Series. How important is this as you grow and develop and want to get up to those upper levels?
Yeah, when you read that there's 50 cars entered into this race, you try and figure out why this race is so important. It's because you do this type of racing anywhere else in any other type of car. We have so many different drivers, so many different walks of life, so many different teams, personnels, and where the drivers are challenged, the cars are challenged in ways that you don't see in any other type of motorsports. So I think that's what makes this racing so in demand for us to understand, for those drivers to understand what it takes to race at this level. If you want to go race in the Daytona 500, you have to start here in the ARCA Menards Series, and it really does build drivers like Jesse Love. We saw Nick Sanchez win the truck race. He was just doing this a few years ago. So it's a very important race, and it's a very important starting point for a lot of drivers.
To get you ready, and speaking of Shane Van Gisbergen, now that might be a name you're familiar with, or maybe you're not, but if you remember in the Cup Series just last summer, this was SVG showing off what he does best, racing on a road course. First Cup race, puts it to him, guys, and he brings home the checkered flag. But guess what? He has never raced on a super speedway, and this is his debut tonight. So moments ago, our Amanda Busick caught up with SVG.
Shane Van Gisbergen ready to get in his car here as we race under the lights here in Daytona. And it's not a surprise how special this place is. It says the World Center of Racing up here from Chicago last year to right now. How much of a dream is this for you, Shane?
It's been pretty cool. It's been an awesome experience. I've never started a race this late at night, so that's new. But I made a mistake in qualifying, missed the draft. So unfortunately, we're pretty far back in the field. But yeah, where the Tech Chevy looks good. So hopefully I'll just keep learning, do every lap, and get closer to the front.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you. Cheers.
He was so close to not making this field. You know, the 7 car withdrew, and that allowed his time to get in. So we're happy that SVG made it in. But Austin, take a look here. What he has done down under, a 3-time champion, the endless races, but they were all on road course.
Yeah, I think the script is a bit flipped here. He's definitely not in his normal environment, so it'll be fun to watch him tonight for sure.
Absolutely. Let's go trackside.
200 started.
Here to give the command of fire engines is Seminole Tribe of Florida musician, Nick the Native. Take it away, Nick.
Drivers, start your engines!
I like that.
I think you've been practicing too.
That is a Friday night command. Heck yeah.
Well done. Well, the wait is just about over. Stay with us. We're going to drop the green flag on the ARCA Menards Series live from Daytona. Wins it at Daytona.
It's the only speedway car we got. There's no way I was going to bring it home without the steering wheel and the trophy, and that was it. This is for all the short track racers out there that don't think you can get to this level. I've worked my ass off to get here, and we did it! Yeah!
Oh, I just love it. Greg Van Alst, that emotion, that energy at 41 years old when he got the win. So he was a surprise winner last year. We had a surprise pole sitter today for the first time winning the General Tire Pole Award. 43-year-old Willie Mullins. What a moment for him. He's been trying, been at this game of racing, and today he was the best. 50 cars qualified for this race. Of course, only 40 made the field. So what a field it was. And let's check in with our pit reporters, starting with Heather DeBow.
From the little team that could to the little team that did, Willie Mullins captures his first career pole here in the ARCA Series. And Willie, it's been 10 years in the making. Describe the emotions and hard work that went into chasing this dream and this moment that you're in right now.
A lot of tears. A lot of tears. We did this, and you know, we work in my parents' garage. I'm proud. Mom and Dad have been behind me. You know, we lost my father-in-law a couple weeks ago. So this is a very emotional day, and I'm proud of Kevin Reed and Daryl Ferree that have busted their butt to put this car together. And you know, this side note, this is the second time this car has been on the front row. Dale Jarrett did it back in 2006, so it's pretty cool to bring RYR 65 back to the front. And we're proud of everything that our Mullins Racing and CorvetteParts.net Ford Fusion has done, or Ford Mustang, I mean. So we're proud of that, and you know, Zenith Aviation and Crowing Recycling, they've been behind me for 10 years, and we can't thank them enough. And I got to meet John Menard today. That was cool. And the whole Menards family for supporting this series. And without Menards and all the Menards stores across the United States, we wouldn't be here today.
Best of luck to you tonight.
Thank you very much.
What a day it has been for that gentleman. Way to go capturing the pole. Well, our Suchi Fast Track 200 starting grid will be in the pylon, as we just saw. Pole sitter in the number 3 car, and Tim Richmond on the outside. And if you see right behind him in the 25, that's Toni Breidinger. What a day she has had already. Just jumped out of the truck. Had a great run going, but got turned around. Let's see who Toni Breidinger is.
Yeah, so impressive last year. Some great top 5 runs. Only 24 years old. She's the winningest USAC midget driver that we've ever had.
Look at this, over 2 million followers on Instagram and TikTok. I think she has 5 million social followers alone. So let's check in with her. What do you think?
Let's do that. Hey, Toni, Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
We already doing a little double duty now. You have some experience here, but you have to be so excited. Full time for Venturini Motorsports, and going to kick it off here at Daytona.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just ran the truck race. It's got that adrenaline in me. Got a lot of good seat time and laps in. Hoping this is a little bit less chaotic and we can stay up front.
It sounds great, Toni. It's Austin Cindric here. Looking to obviously have a great run today. What in your preparation, what have you looked for to try and get a win today?
Yeah, I think just working with my teammate Jake Finch, who's already up here. So I think if we can just maintain where we are and have our teammates join us, we'll be in a good spot.
Awesome. Sounds great. Best of luck, Toni.
Thank you.
Toni Breidinger sounds ready to go. Well, we always talk about diversity in the ARCA Menards Series. How about this right here? Ages 18 to 64, 4 female drivers, 1 former winner. But look at this, 22 different states, and right there, Phil, 6 different countries represented in the cars that showed up to qualify for this race today.
Let's take a look at our race analysis. You see this race is 80 laps, 200 miles. We're going to have a race break on or near lap number 40. Our winner last year was Greg Van Alst. This is the 61st time that ARCA has raced here at Daytona.
Coming out of turn 4, Willie Mullins will lead them to the green for the first time in his career. Qualified just earlier today. It has been a long day for these drivers, but they are ready to go. Off season for about 4 months for these guys and ladies. Pace car is off. The 3 car on the inside will lead them as the green flag waves in the air. We are racing at Daytona. Finch with a nice push to Willie Mullins as they head into turn 1. Toni Breidinger, though, not wasting any time on the outside in row number 2.
Remember last year that 27 car of Tim Richmond was racing for the lead late in the race and ran out of fuel.
And as we look to get the field a little more organized, you know, ARCA Menards Series does group qualifying, and I feel like it really splits up the field in a lot of ways as far as which cars are strong and which aren't, as guys are seeing the jockey for position pretty early.
Willie Mullins pulling out in front. Behind him, the 18-year-old Jake Finch, son of James Finch, longtime car owner in the ARCA Menards Series as well as the Cup Series.
And James is back here at the racetrack watching Jake.
Jake told me he's going to run some races for his dad here in the ARCA Series this year. So
He's going to at least a half a dozen, yeah.
And Tim Richmond, no relation to the former Tim Richmond that raced in the Cup Series. What a nice young man.
I'm hoping these drivers watch that truck series race that we had just now and try to keep these cars a little straighter than those trucks were.
I'm with you, Phil. I see a lot of movement, though, in the field. You look at those roofs, and they're moving all over the place. Some guys may be ducking out of the field, ducking out of line. And some guys might be delivering massive pushes in the middle of the back straightaway. There's a lot going on here in the pack.
Looks like Greg Van Alst making it 3 wide up on top of the racetrack. You see him right there in the 35, last year's winner.
The 62 car had to get on the brakes there really big.
That's Steve Lewis Jr. in the 62 car. See, Greg Van Alst is trying to squeeze back down. Looks like he was able to get down.
I think it's going to take at least 7 to 8 laps to get this field sorted out, because I do feel like there's some really strong cars that are in the back of the field right now that are trying to work their way forward, and probably some of the opposite, maybe some cars that don't have the raw speed that are kind of jammed in there in the center of the field.
And that group qualifying will bring that on. You may have some of the fastest cars here in practice, and they get in the wrong group and don't get a good qualifying effort, and they start at the back, as you see Greg Van Alst leading that third line up towards the front.
I mean, that's a great effort. I mean, just a push from Gus Dean all the way up to Greg Van Alst, really recovered that third lane. Meanwhile, it's letting the bottom get away here. So it'll be interesting to see if this third lane stays or if it creates some handling issues in the middle of the pack. Because when you got cars 3 wide, side by side, exit of turn 4, you're going to have a lot of movement as they really put the squeeze on Tony Breidinger exiting the tri-oval.
Greg Van Alst making moves early.
Oh, trouble already.
And we've got Tony Breidinger around the 25, and they're wrecking all over the place. Caution is out.
Well. Yeah, SVG is in that as well.
Shane Van Gisbergen had to run this race to be able to race in the Xfinity race, so this will be interesting to see what the officials say.
I think Tanner Gray and the Gibbs number 18 was also in that.
Jeff Schofield in the 07 we see there.
Big damage to Amber Balkan.
Amber Balkan full-time.
I think that's Ed Pompa in the number 10 car for Andy Hillenberg.
It was getting really tight through the middle of that tri-oval. I wonder if there were some cars that just got squeezed. Obviously, Tony was stuck in the middle there, so
saw Chris right there.
We know at least 3 of the Venturini cars were involved in that incident.
Venturini has 5 full-time entries. Let's see exactly what happened.
That's the 25 of Tony right in the middle. Let's see if she gets squeezed.
So I think the 02 got a push there and wiggled down the racetrack, and then they just kind of squeezed and touched on corner entry to 1. Just really tough part of the corner. The car is really light, and obviously a small push when you're racing that close, you know, only a few inches door to door, generates some contact.
Yeah, and the majority of these cars that involved nothing they could do. There, Tony gets into the 97 of Jason Kitzmiller.
And everybody else is just checking up, trying to miss it. I mean, half
doing their best to try to miss it.
See the 28 on the right side of your screen spinning around. That's Shane Van Gisbergen.
Here's a Sioux Chief on board for Tony Breidinger.
Yeah, so when that push got delivered to the 55, I mean, Tony, you can see by the lines on the racetrack, she was holding her car dead straight. Just got a push. That 02 car came down the racetrack and shoved her into the inside lane, and then everyone else is involved.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2-3 laps into the race, and we're already pushing people sideways into each other. And you know, let's get some laps in. Let's get some laps in before we start all the pushing.
Yeah, I mean, the urgency was clearly really high from some of the guys starting in the back of the field. Obviously, we were talking about Greg Van Alst, who was able to bring that third lane all the way up forward and get himself clear to the bottom. And right as he was able to do that, get safe on the bottom, obviously that third lane was able to cause that wreck.
Saw Mandy Chick on pit road as well. So all 3 of the women who are in the field were involved in that incident there. So as drivers head to the infield care center to be checked and released, we will step aside. We're under caution here at Daytona for the first time this evening. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And we welcome you back to Daytona International Speedway. ARCA Menards Series action underway, but it came to a halt quickly after just 6 laps. You see the list there, about 11 cars involved, and so far I think we've counted about 4 cars out of the race for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately 4. Now that number is even growing right now. A lot of damage to a lot of these trucks, and we talked a few moments ago about Venturini's. They have 5 very, very stout cars in this race. 3 of those cars in this incident.
You see Tanner Gray in the 18 right there. That's a Joe Gibbs Racing car. They're always strong here at Daytona. Just unfortunate. Amber Balkin, Tony Briding are going to be full-time this season. So as cleanup continues here, we have 74 laps to go. Stay with us. You're watching the ARCA Menards Series. Welcome back to the Suchi Fast Track 200, and that doesn't look right. That is Shane Van Gisbergen.
That's probably the first time and probably not the last time he's going to hear over the radio in his NASCAR career, hey, can you drive it back? And clearly struggling with that one.
His first experience on a super speedway unfortunately ended after 8 laps. So Shane Van Gisbergen from New Zealand, 6 different countries represented in the ARCA Menards Series. See Amber Balkin from Canada, talked about her. Gilles Linster from Luxembourg.
World Center of Racing. That's right there, right in the center.
Yeah. I was talking to.
I don't know how to clear this.
I was talking to Jill yesterday in the garage area, and he speaks 5 languages.
Oh wow!
And English fluently.
That's impressive.
He's a racer in the Euro Series. He actually won over in the NASCAR Euro Series last year.
Well, we talked about SVG. Unfortunately, he's outside the medical center with Amanda.
And as Jamie just referenced, you're here at the medical center, not where you want to be. What happened?
Yeah, that didn't last long, that race. It sucked. Real shame. I was just learning. We were getting through a few and just trying to be patient. I saw a crash up ahead and I slowed up pretty good, I thought, and I just got slammed from behind. So that sucked. It was a shame for WeatherTech and the team, and yeah, hopefully go better in Xfinity race.
We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see ya.
He's always smiling. He's just having such a great time running these stock cars. By the way, he will be full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. As we get ready to drop the green flag once again, Willie Mullins leads him into turn 1.
That's the Phoenix car. Jake Finch on the outside. Tim Richmond, the 27, lined up behind him. Gus Dean, another one of the Venturini cars. Those are the 2 Venturini cars that have not had any trouble. The 20 of Jake Finch and the 55 of Gus Dean.
Jake Finch on the outside trying to take the lead for the first time. Willie Mullins has led them all on the pole for the first time. Can he clear him?
Gus Dean has been able to generate some pretty big runs. He's probably one of our biggest movers of the race. Between him and Greg Van Alst, made really quick work in that 3rd lane, get back up through the front of the field, and I think this outside lane will be pretty poised with a fast car leading it with Jake Finch.
See Justin Bonsignor back there in 7th in the number 30. He's a 3-time Whelen Tour champion for Rhett Jones Racing. Nice to see him in the field.
His ARCA debut, first time ever on a super speedway, obviously doing a nice job.
He's in that black number 30 on the inside line, 4th in. That's the car that Frankie Muniz ran last year.
Now Jake Finch has got to make some decisions here. He's gotten clear. He doesn't want to get too far out in front. He's got to decide which lane he wants to lead. It's one of the hardest things to do your first time on a plate track, is figure out how to actually lead once you get there, as this outside lane seems to be generating another run here.
But I think I like the strategy, Austin. Just stay next to that yellow line. Stay next to that double yellow line. Don't wobble off the double yellow line. Stay on the inside and hope you get enough people lined up behind you. If the outside line goes, caution flag again.
Caution is out for the 2nd time for debris. You see it right there.
Probably some tape from some of our damaged cars from the last caution came off there. And re-rack and try again.
12 laps in.
Crush panel, probably. Aluminum crush panel, looks like. Yeah, the field is going to hit that as they, there it is right there. Looks like Willie Mullins is going to hit it. And then bounce off of Gus Dean as well and back down to the inside of the race.
A quick pickup. So we'll step aside as they clean up that debris. We're under caution here for the 2nd time. 69 laps to go from Daytona.
Daytona just has this history behind it. You know, like you're coming around the corner, that's where Fireball Roberts went through the wall. That's where Donnie and Cale Yarborough got in a fight. I mean, it's just the history that surrounds this place. It's Daytona.
I always feel like there's extra little anxiety going into Daytona just because everyone just knows like how big of a deal it is to race here and just be on this track.
I used to live directly across the street. I remember sitting on that bench at 2 a.m. staring at this place, dreaming of racing here one day. You see the lights, you see everything. It's just absolutely top spectacle in all of sports, in my opinion.
Well, just walking in the place is awesome. I think the atmosphere is different from any other racetrack.
When I get to stand on the grid at Daytona and listen to the national anthem and look at the flag and look at the stands, it truly just means so much to me.
I've told people it's like walking into Disney World as a kid. To win here, it's just I still can't even put it into words.
We've had the whole off season and there's a lot of excitement built around coming to Daytona, and I think that if you can have a good race here, it really sets the tone for the rest of your year.
I've joked that it's probably going to go on my tombstone that I won at Daytona.
Well, that puts it all in perspective right there. Did he really say that'll go on his tombstone, winning this race? That's how much it meant to Greg Van Alst.
I believe him too.
Yeah, I just loved the emotion of him in victory lane. Actually, it was on the racetrack.
Yes.
He just got out of the car, and I just loved that so much. Obviously, see the caution flag is out right now. Anytime the caution flag is displayed, you can change tires and or add fuel. We will definitely have a scheduled caution at lap number 40, where all the teams will be able to come down pit road as they choose to put tires and or fuel in. You will not lose your position. However you come down pit road, as long as you don't have a penalty or lose a lap, then you will restart in that position. You will start behind everybody that stayed on the racetrack. And why I say that, we know we're going to have a caution at lap 40, but if we get a caution around lap 25 or 30, a lot of these teams are going to come to pit road, and that's going to be the only time they're going to stop. They're going to forego stopping at that 40-lap caution because they feel like they can go that far on fuel and keep that track position.
So a little bit of strategy.
Yeah, could
I like
be.
it.
Yeah,
could
for
see
sure.
a little bit of that. Well, Tony Breidinger has been checked and released, and she's with Amanda.
And Jamie, we go back to earlier in the day. That excellent qualifying effort gave her a start on the second row here at Daytona, but she stands here and says, I am so annoyed. Talk about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice since the 55 is my teammate, but it definitely is disappointing. It's so early on in the race, really unnecessary move. Even later in the race, that would have been a bad move. I mean, you're not clear, it's unfortunate he has a lack of respect for his teammates and other people on the track that work really hard to get here when his dad's just riding the track, so I think that just has to do with his lack of respect.
Those are some pretty bold words. I want to go to the collection of the day that you've had. You started in the trucks race today and now finishing up here in your own progression. Are there teaching moments here?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great day. Venture Motorsports brought me a fast car. Celsius was on board. It started off amazing. Great qualifying effort. Jake Finch, my teammate in the 20 car, did a great job in qualifying. We worked together. So yeah, just disappointing that the 55 had to just kind of ruin that for all of us.
Emotions high, Jamie.
Yes, no doubting how she's feeling right now. But, I mean, that young lady, she's full-time. She's thinking about points. She's not just here to jump in and go for a race win. And what a week she's had. She was up at Fashion Week, you guys, just on Tuesday. She was in a fashion show for Michael Kors. Then she flew down here, raced at New Smyrna, then came down over here to the racetrack and had practice and qualifying for ARCA. So a lot going on with that young woman.
Well, I can't tell you anything about going to Fashion Week, but I can tell you doing double duty in one day is information overload, especially as you're a young driver trying to come up through the ranks and understand. I mean, the Truck Series cars race so much different than the ARCA Menards Series cars, and obviously I'm sure she wanted to get this race underway, and it is really frustrating to end that way. But I also say, I think it was just aggressive pushing early in the race that really caused that wreck. Unfortunate because it took out a good majority of the field, and as she mentioned, her teammates. I mean, there's a lot of really strong Venture Motorsports cars that got taken out in that wreck as well. So yeah, probably some teaching moments in there for a lot involved, but yeah, just frustrating for sure to be out of a race that early.
Well, no doubt we're going to see a lot of aggressive pushing come Sunday. It is the biggest day in racing, and it just got a little bit bigger. The Grand Marshal is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We'll kick things off. He'll start them all up for the Daytona 500. It's the Great American Race that returns Sunday at 2:30 Eastern, only on Fox. And there's the newly crowned champion, Ryan Blaney, and his teammate, Austin Cindric. Let's just take a look back. This can't get old ever in your whole life.
I'm a fan. This was best day of my life. Trying to recreate it this weekend. I can tell you that much. It was, nothing's bigger, nothing's cooler. Sold out crowd, and holding that trophy up with all your friends and family, RP, everybody is pretty incredible life experience for me.
You had a good car last night too, right?
Absolutely. No, we've got a really fast discount tire Ford. It's been a lot of fun. Teams executed super well throughout the week, so we put ourselves in position to execute throughout the 500 and give a shot at doing that again.
Good deal.
You guys are looking good. That was such a special day to see you win that race. I know what it meant to you and
well, you got to be part of it.
I got to interview you down there. That's my
great.
favorite part of the job. It was awesome. Well, speaking of pit reporters, let's check in real quick with Heather.
Well, Jamie, you guys talk about the experience in this field, and we're looking at the leader right there, Jake Finch. This is his first time racing here at Daytona. And Austin, you mentioned it, information overload for these guys, but Jake has been instructed by his crew chief, Shannon Rush, and his spotter, Tyler Mon, to not thinking, leave that up to us. So tonight he's going to listen to them and every instruction give and not make any decisions. But he did tell me just prior to those, I walked up to him, he had his headphones on, he put in on some music, and he said, Heather, I've never been this nervous in my life. So I'm sure his nerves are peaking a little bit as we get ready to go green.
Well, I think that's great advice. Never let the driver think. Best case, he's got a good guy on the roof with Tyler Mon. He'll be able to give him some good eyes on what's happening in the field behind. But leading a plate race for the first time is very, very difficult because you're managing a lot of different things and they're all behind you, so you can't see them and you have to trust that spotter.
Well, she mentioned crew chief Shannon Rush. We mentioned that name so much last year because they went to victory lane 10 times. He worked, of course, with Jesse Love, and they won the championship. All right, green flag once again in the air. The young Finch in the 20 car. That's Jake Finch leading him once again. His first time racing here at Daytona. Got some movement behind him. Tim Richmond in the 27. Coming up on the outside. Ryan Huff up there in the 36. Gus Dean in the 55. And there is Greg Van Alst on the inside on the 35.
And Austin, I like the strategy of Jake Finch. Just stay against the WO line. If that outside line gets some momentum, they pass you, so be it. But don't try to move to the outside. Try to manage those lines at this point in his career. Just stay next to that WO line and let them try to come around you.
I think his position, to your point, you learn more by watching what happens around you instead of by reacting to it. And the high percentage move is absolutely to paint the line. I think on these restarts, as you get organized, obviously the bottom lane seems to be a little bit more preferred. As cars still really seem to struggle to hold the line in the back of the field. A guy that I look at who's been aggressive at the start of this race is Greg Van Alst. He clearly wants to get to the front of the field. They say the front of the field is the safest part of the field. But I think between him and the combination of Gus Dean, those are the guys that have really asserted themselves as guys that want to move to the front. But this outside lane's dying fast, and you're going to need a few cars to really establish that outside lane.
Yeah, everybody's going to fight to get back to the bottom of the racetrack. You see Willie Mullins now, our pole sitter, is out there just about by himself, and he's probably dropped out of the top 10.
One name we haven't mentioned, you look down on that pylon in the 14th spot, Marco Andretti making his first start here at Daytona, trying to become the third Andretti to win a stock car race here. Of course, his grandfather won the Daytona 500. That was back in '67. His uncle John Andretti won the 1997 Pepsi 400. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, right as the camera shot to him, he decided to take a run, and I think he's learning how important it is to still be in the draft. But that's how you learn, though. I mean, you might even think it's the wrong thing at the time. You have to know how far a run can carry, and it was really cool reading some of Marco's interviews about why he wants to be in this series. He's raced on some of the biggest stage. Ooh, big accident with one of our already damaged cars.
Yeah, Mandy Chick. She had a top 5 finish here last year. Was involved in an accident. More than likely, probably a tire rub from some damage from that earlier wreck. Tough break for Mandy, though.
So Mandy Chick brings out the third caution of this race. That is a tough break. I feel like this race last year, we talked so much about her and her background.
Such a great run.
Get the window net down. Obviously, seems to be all right. Talking with the safety workers.
It's a good sign. working lap 21 of 80 here.
Engineering student at Rose Holman. Engineering.
Fighting engineers.
Let's take the first look here, exactly what happened with Mandy Chick.
Yeah, I think similar to what you said, Phil. Probably had a tire go down, and
it's all the debris on the racetrack, probably from where that tire went down.
Crush panel, the whole rear fender is gone on that car. Want to get into a rhythm here, Phil.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Get some racing in here.
We didn't really get in the truck series either, though.
But all these laps will be pretty interesting to see what these crew chiefs start deciding to do with fuel strategy.
We're getting close. We're getting close to these crew chiefs taking that gamble and bringing these cars down pit road.
How long do you think we can make it on fuel?
They say around 55 laps, which obviously would be 25 laps, but that's with some caution flags and things like that. You know you're going to get some caution laps at the lap 40 caution, mandatory caution. So I think if within another 5 laps for sure, I think you'll see some people come down pit road.
Well, young Jake Finch continues to lead 10 laps and counting. Stay with us. We're going to step aside as cleanup continues. This is the Fast Track 200. Welcome back to the Sioux Chief Fast Track 200. We're under caution for the 3rd time for the ARCA Menards Series. Thanks for joining us. Well, this week's Bounty Rookie Spotlight features a man we were just talking about, Marco Andretti. Make a debut here in the ARCA Menards Series. Let's take a look back at what he's done. Very famous grandfather, Mario Andretti. And If you're an IndyCar fan, you remember this moment back in 2006. He came oh so close to winning the 500. And then just 2 years ago, he's the SRX champion. So Marco branching out, trying some other forms of racing. Just a little look back. It runs in the family. Fast as an Andretti. So it's good to see him. He'll be in some truck races and some more ARCA Menards Series.
Yeah, I think they announced 14 ARCA races this year. Pretty ambitious schedule and several truck races. So good to have him around.
Yeah, it's fun to have him in the field. So Heather, what are they saying so far?
Well, so far he's happy with his car. He said this thing sucks up like crazy, but I caught up with him right before the race and said, hey, what do you think? He goes, you know what? I don't really know. All I know is with this ARCA series is that I got to stay open-minded and rely on my instinct. But one takeaway he learned already is prior to one of those restarts, he asked his spotter, hey, just let me know if I'm going to take the outside or inside when we choose. And he said, hey, we don't do that here, buddy. It's just a regular lineup. So one thing he took away was no choose in the ARCA series.
Well, you watch all those other races, and then you hop in here, and it looks the same, feels the same, but the rules are a little different.
Yeah, and he ran 3 truck races at the end of the year, and which obviously had to choose. So General on board of Andres Perez. But Justin, you mentioned 3-time Whelen modified champion. General Tire on board for Justin.
And you mentioned Andres Perez during our Cup practice. He was in the Cup garage, Phil, and I walked up to him and said hi. I said, how you feeling? He goes, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. And he just looked around at just the enormity of Daytona. As we're back to green once again.
Got 2 Venturini cars lined up on the bottom. See how they're able to stretch this inside lane back out. Or
that should bode well, I think, for that inside lane. Ryan Huff has really done a nice job. Qualified great in that 3rd spot right there in the 36 car. There's Sean Core, the black number 8, black and yellow number 8. Sean always runs well here.
Willie Mullins, our pole sitter right there in the 3 car. How about Jake Finch up front, leading his first laps, racing here for the first time. He has his teammate Gus Dean just behind him. Gus knows how to get around these places. He's got a couple of super speedway. Actually, he has 1 win at Talladega. I think he won at Elko as well.
And watching qualifying, the group qualifying, you have a couple cars together, and Jake was really able to suck up to the car behind you and actually lock on in qualifying. And I didn't see many of that really at all throughout the field. So I think you got the fastest.
Oh, no.
Cars. Oh, gosh. We got Christian Rose
trying
to hang on to it.
Can he save it? They're avoiding him all around. What a time you can keep it off the wall here is a job well done for Christian Rose.
Without a doubt. That's a tough spot being turned sideways in the tri-oval.
Almost heaven. Nice save. It's 3rd year in the series.
Yeah, we have 1 straightaway here at this racetrack, and that's the back stretch. This front stretch is not a straightaway.
Get a replay here of what happened here in the tri-oval. We got a little damage to Marco Andretti as well. So here he is, bottom lane in the tri-oval.
It's like the
just getting a push.
Car, just a push going, but that's not the place to push. It's in the tri-oval. The corners, I know the ARCA officials tell these drivers all the time, please don't push in the corners or in the tri-oval, and that's where it goes bad.
It's the absolute worst place on the racetrack to give a push, receive a push, because you have both challenges. One, you don't have the 30 degrees of banking that give the car the grip, but also you do have a bit of a turn, so you're asking something out of the tires, laterally, but you also don't have, the vertical grip in the car to even do it, and then just to get a shot from behind. And we're only 25 laps into the race. Yeah, not going to work out most of the time.
Hey guys, the Reese's Sweet Move of the race is back for this year, so I think that could be a nominee. The first one of the year, that great save by Christian Rose.
Yeah, the fact he didn't hit anything or get hit, without a doubt, should be a good contender for the
What's happened here to the 17 car? Did he just get hit from behind? Is that the bumper structure?
It looks like it. Looks like maybe a bumper brace that's hanging down, dragging the racetrack. They continue to work on Amber Balkin's car. Remember, she was involved in that first incident. Remember, these are composite bodies, so that body has a little bit of a memory. That car probably got hit in the back, and then it sprung back to where it was. But the bumper bar, I think, is dragging the racetrack. It broke loose from the rear frame section.
Now, will they be able to cut that off, or do they have to have it secure?
As long as they have the tail on there, I think they're okay. I think they need to bring that car to pit road and get that off, because you certainly don't want that to come off while you're racing and have somebody run over that from behind.
He's got some flat flat tires from that spin. You see a little bit of damage to the hood of that race car as well.
This is Andres Perez on board. Just to the left, you see the 32 car, Christian Rose to the left. He's going to get pushed by the 44 right beside of Andres Perez and send the 32 spinning.
Yeah, it's fortunate no other cars got caught up in this. You know, Christian's, you know, doing the long hike. He still hasn't even made it back to pit road yet. When you slide your tires like this, and he's obviously got the brakes locked down, trying to get the car stopped, but when you slide the tires like that, they go flat immediately. And the problem with that is you can even see the hole in the top of the left front right under that General Tire logo, is that once you do try and run on them and drive at speed, it tears the tire off and rips the fenders off, as we see that strategy call we talked about earlier.
Here we are.
Yeah, you guys set them up perfectly. 5 laps in, and our leaders are coming down pit road. Remember, they can take tires, they can take fuel, they just can't do them simultaneously. Just 4 pit crew members allowed to go over the wall. They're coming your way, Amanda.
You'll see Tim Richmond coming to us there. He's going to get the pit stop underway. He said that starting out this race that it was a 2 out of a 5 tight, and that that the car just did not want to turn. What are you hearing, Heather?
Well, for Jake Finch here in the 20, they're fueling the car first. He just asked his team, hey, do I turn it off right now? Because he was the brake, and they said, no, this isn't a brake. Keep it running. So they're going to go to work to change the tires on the 20 as well. But there is a small hole in the valence of the 20 on the nose, so they're going to have to take a look at that damage as for Jake Finch.
That's a great illustration. You saw them wait to jack the car up while they put fuel in it. You can have 4 people over the wall, but you cannot fuel and change tires at the same time. But they have plenty of time. The pace car is in the middle of the backstretch. Pace car lap here is probably around 2.5 minutes. As long as they beat the pace car out of the pits and don't have any penalties, then they will retain the position that they had when they came in.
Having a hard time in the left rear of Tim Richmond. Throwing his body into it, trying to get it on
his all.
Yeah, he was. Hey guys,
the effort.
We made it. It's actually midnight.
It's Saturday. This race was supposed to be on Saturday and is on Saturday.
We have not even mentioned that. The fact that severe weather has been forecasted for Saturday. So the ARCA Menards Series, NASCAR, and Fox all got together and said, let's run this race on Friday night, which was a great move. Everybody was happy about that. But now it is officially midnight and it's Saturday. So here we are. We're happy to have all of you listening and watching.
And all the competitors in the ARCA garage were really happy about this. Otherwise, if the weather was bad tomorrow, then it may have been a Monday race, and nobody wanted to stay till Monday. It's so expensive.
And hard to find hotel rooms. I mean, this place is sold out for Sunday. Let's check in again with Amanda.
Jamie, I was talking to a couple of the drivers ahead of the driver intros, and just to repeat the sentiment that you guys just said, yeah, a lot of these drivers wanted to get this in tonight, but they pointed back to practice in January with some rain situation. It actually pushed later into the day, so they to race here under the lights. So having some experience in talking to Tim Richmond and getting ready for this race, he was excited to race here at the Superspeedway in a true Daytona fashion.
I think racing under the lights is always cooler for the drivers, but I will say a night race here, in my professional opinion, has saved a lot of these cars, because we've seen a lot of guys struggle for handling, wiggling back and forth. I'm sure a lot of guys were trimmed out to try and make the race with 50 cars entered, and we still have a lot of handling issues even in these cooler conditions. So I think it's best case scenario for these drivers, as much fun as they're going to have just racing under the lights in this place, but also I think their cars are going to drive better than what they would have otherwise.
See Tim Richmond come back down pit road to put fuel in it, so he elected not to do it on the same pit stop.
There's big Bill Venturini. So we're officially racing on Saturday, and the Xfinity Series plans on racing tomorrow evening. It's all on FS1. The future stars are back with roaring engines and grueling non-stop action. See who claims the first checkered flag of the season. That's tomorrow at 5 Eastern on FS1. It's like the first day of school, right? There's different teams, different sponsors, different everything. There's a lot to get used to, and it's right out of the bag for Speedway. Everything's new.
We were talking about the truck series, and there were 6 drivers and crew chief combinations that stayed the same out of the top 20. Only 6.
That's incredible. I mean, the Xfinity Series is a lot of change and turnover in those drivers. So first day of school is best way to describe it, no doubt.
Well, you guys are all happy. You enjoy talking to us in the press. You know, as the year goes on, it's like, I don't want to do an interview right now. But right now,
have I ever denied
like
an interview with you?
You haven't. You get a little intense.
I get intense?
Just a little bit.
I've never been called intense.
When it comes to your notes in front of you, yes. Well, we just saw Big Bill Venturini. How about this? 99 wins, Phil. Getting that 100 is going to be a big deal, and I wonder perhaps maybe tonight it'll happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen soon. What an amazingly strong team.
The owner championships down there, 87 all the way through 2023 with Jesse Love, and who Jesse Love, by the way, has moved up to the Xfinity Series. So he'll be racing tomorrow. Got Danny Stockman as his crew chief over there, racing for Richard Childress Racing.
1987 to 2023. That's an incredible commitment to this series, and it really shows how important ARCA Menards Series is to kind of the infrastructure of stock car racing.
Longer than you've been alive.
Correct.
All right, so we've got the 36 of Ryan Huff leading this race, Sean Corr in the 8.
Remember, the reason that Jake Finch is not leading, he elected to come to pit road. These cars that will restart in front of him did not come to pit road.
A little bit of strategy. We'll see how this plays out. Remember, there is a scheduled caution at or around lap 40. So that's when these other cars will perhaps make their pit stops. The 44 of Annunziata, he was the one involved with Christian Rose. Doesn't seem like he really has any damage to his race car.
Yeah, and if I'm Jake Finch, Gustine, all these guys that feel like they've postured themselves for the correct strategy for the end of the race, they're going to have an 11-lap dash to figure out who actually has the advantage, who's the first car on the winning strategy. So these next couple of laps with this restart and how these outside lane guys, inside lane guys are able to take advantage is going to be very important.
I think just right now I want to stay clean. I want to keep my body clean and stay out of the carnage.
Green flag is in the air once again. Ryan Huff leads them. Sean Corr on the outside.
Patrick Emmerling making a nice run up here towards the front. That's him on the outside of row number 2 in the 08 car. He'll be doing double duty this weekend, also running the Xfinity race.
The field's pretty scattered here on this restart, and you see a lot of compression back there in that to 12th, 13th range where we had guys put on tires, some really fast competitive cars. We're 3 wide already, trying to get that position. Greg Van Alst, no surprise, all the way to the outside, trying to make moves like he did earlier at the race. We got 2 Venturini cars lined up in the middle of the field. There's a lot going on trying to posture for this strategy.
On the inside line, the number 73 white car, Andy Jankowiak. Haven't talked about Andy J, the pizza delivery man we always talk about. This is a place he runs so well, and I know he and Greg Van Alst, if they could get together. 3 wide right now. Look at this. Shane Van Gisbergen.
I love that. He wants some experience, so he's going to come back out here. Shane Huffman and his guys did a lot of repairs. You see, that's Dale Quarterly in that 4 car. He cannot keep that car on the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to need to try to keep that car a little bit lower because he's drifting out into that outside line. And sometimes when they're going to come up on him 3 wide, there's not going to be room.
Wow.
These guys still haven't gotten themselves sorted. You got 2 of the fastest cars in the field going top of 3, trying to get back up to the field in front of these other cars. I think the Venturini cars have worked really well, where the 75 car has been really struggling for handling, stuck in the middle of the field. I think that's why all these guys have been able to make this outside lane work.
Yeah, Marco Andretti is stuck behind that car.
3 wide as they head into turn 1. Wow, they're moving all around.
I mean, Ryan Huff moved to the outside. I'm not even sure why he did that, really.
And it's Finch to the point once again. Jake Finch in the 20 working together with his teammate Gus Dean. They went all the way from the outside, worked their way forward. They already pitted. Now they're leading this again.
But remember now, Jake Finch leading this race on that pit strategy, possibly to try to make it. You're going to use more fuel leading this race. So That may take his chance, if he continues to lead a lot, take his chance from making it out.
Greg Van Alst shown in the 3rd spot. He has yet to lead a lap today.
It's Andres Perez, the black number 2. Right now running in the 5th spot.
See the biggest movers. Dean, we talked about, Van Alst, Finch, all worked their way through after the pit stop, all up front of this pack. Greg Van Alst, the winner last year.
Rev Racing teammates, Perez in the 2, LeVar Scott in the 6th.
See some
nose
smoke.
to tail.
Tire rub
Somebody's
looks
got a
like
tire rub.
the 30 car Bonsignor. Got might be worse than tire rub. It's always nerve-wracking as the car that's behind the smoking car, because you're waiting for something to happen. Now, hopefully for these guys it's just a tire rub that's clearancing, but I don't see one particular corner where that's happening.
That's where you tell your spotter, let me know when I can get down. There's Perez riding along in this General Tire onboard. Trying to make his way up. Right now he's running in about the 5th or 6th position. He's battling for 5th with Ryan Huff, that white number 36.
And these Rev Racing cars are doing a good job of keeping this outside lane going. As you see, LeVar Scott giving a pretty nice push as they get a bit of a charge from the outside.
Remember, LeVar Scott actually ran this race here last year, had a top 5 finish, and he was driving for Perez, who wasn't old enough to drive it.
That's right. So Perez ended up running the rest of the races and finished 2nd to Jesse Love. What a season he had. 10 top 5s, 15 top 10s, finished top 10 in almost every race he ran last year. So even though he hasn't gotten the win, Phil, we always talk about who may be the favorite coming into the season. I would say Andres Perez is.
Yeah, without a doubt, one of the favorites. I think LeVar Scott is another driver that you have to put on that very short list of favorites.
I've got great news for you guys and you viewers at home. This is our longest green flag run of the race.
Don't jinx it.
I like your optimism.
I like what Sean Corr did. We didn't get to see it, but he pulled up from the bottom lane, getting to the outside lane to really try and charge to the front. And Greg Van Alst is picked up on it and is doing the same thing. I think they don't want to stay behind these Venturini cars. They see how strong they are, and they're trying to work together to get back in front of them.
And Sean Corr has a lot of experience here at Daytona. He has 7 top 5 finishes in ARCA Menards competition here at Daytona.
Greg Van Alst gets a side draft here, is able to pull back Gus Dean. This outside lane charged back up. I think they'll have a good shot at having to run down the back straightaway after they get through 1 and 2.
See that black number 30 of Bonsignor still smoking, and man, are they tight there.
I really like the confidence Greg Van Alst is driving with tonight, because it really shows that win last year wasn't a fluke. He stayed in the game all day, and because of that move, pulling up and blocking the outside lane, getting that run, he's now in the lead of the race.
Stop pushing, Gus. Stop pushing. Long way to go. You saw him push the 20 of Jake Finch, push him sideways. Remember, guys, the last time Greg Van Alst was in a race vehicle, it was a truck at Talladega, and he had a bad crash and broke his back.
I was just going to say that, Phil. Great minds. We hadn't even mentioned that the last time we saw him race anything was that truck race, and it was serious. He was down and out for quite some time. And now he's come back even stronger. He expanded his team to a 2-car team operation just for this race, maybe a couple more down the road. But Isaac Johnson, a fellow Hoosier as well, he's in the 34.
Well, I can tell you, hasn't slowed him down, and he's really trying to figure out how to control these lines. Does he want to control both lanes? Both cars get locked on, get the move. Really pushing. They pushed Van Alst back up, so this is going to pack up the field, and they're going to have another big run at it.
Got about 4.5 laps to go until the scheduled caution comes out.
A lot of compression in that outside lane.
Sean Corr is going to go through the middle.
I really like that move. I think it's going to separate these Venturini cars. Gus Dean's going to have a tough time staying with the 20 car. And Jake's like, oh, do I get my teammate? Do I stay in the preferred lane? Meanwhile, I think it's going to help the bottom as these guys are unorganized.
Yeah, I think it was a good move that Jake did not move up to that 3rd lane to try to grab Gus Dean.
Meanwhile, Greg's a little too far out in front, and there's going to be a huge run coming.
Yeah, I think it's too much of a run to try to block that lane, but he got a good push from Ryan Huff to stay even right now with Jake Finch.
Ryan Huff doing Really, really nice work so far tonight. The 22-year-old from Williamsburg, Virginia. Look at this battle.
He is having a tough time. Ryan Huff in that 36 holding on to that car.
And we welcome you all to the ARCA Menards Series as you watch the Suchi Fast Track 200. Hope you enjoyed the basketball game. My alma mater, San Diego State University.
This is ARCA After Dark.
I know, this is ARCA After Dark. We've been on FS2, so we welcome you new viewers. Stick with us. We got a smoker there.
We've got a great battle for the lead here as well. I think the two best cars are leading the field right now, and I think Greg Van Als is probably put on the best display of driving so far, as this bottom lane is really struggling for handling and getting the pushes, but I think it's a matter of time before Jake Finch gets clear here, because this outside lane's way more organized, got some good pushes from some teammates and experience of Sean Core.
Got the 18-year-old Jake Finch on the outside of the front row, side by side with Greg Van Als, who has just become a master at this style of racing.
And what I'm interested in with Jake Finch at this time, okay, we've gotten comfortable, we're in front of the field, listen to my spotter, the information I'm getting. What's next? You know, do you pull down, pull the side draft, pull the 35 back? You know, what are ways that I can create an advantage now as they're getting up the lap car of Shane Van Gisbergen?
Yeah, fortunately, all the spotters see that. And Shane's doing a nice job staying up against the outside wall to stay out of the way.
So we've reached the halfway point in this race.
Yeah, next lap we will complete lap 40. So at some point, I think during that lap, we'll see the caution flag.
Be a scheduled caution, something we do in the ARCA Menards Series. They can choose to pit, or they could choose to stay out. If they do pit, they can take fuel and tires. This Sioux Chief on board with LeVar Scott, talked about him doing a really nice job. LeVar just making his 7th career start here.
That exit to turn 4 is a really tough handling spot, and we've seen the 44 and the 36 get really dodgy off the corner as we just hit lap 41. Interesting to see who's got the lead here as Jake Finch pulls to the bottom and gives Sean Core the lead. We're still under green, and not clear. Rev Racing cars. Probably a good move, thinking twice about that, get the pack reorganized. Obviously, we're expecting some sort of a caution as it hits right now.
And caution comes out. This is the scheduled caution, and we have cars all the way around as the caution came out. That's Willie Mullins, the pole sitter, going around.
Dale Quarterly, the 4, Leland Honeyman, and the 02.
Got a couple others back there involved. Somebody stopped on the track. Can't really see the number there.
That's the 13 car right there. That's
Armani Williams.
Armani was involved in that first incident, but recovered.
And Marco Andretti got caught up in that. See that damage.
We know the caution flag was out, so I wonder if somebody let off the gas or hit the brakes or whatever, and somebody did not realize that the caution was out.
I wonder if it was a reaction to the leaders up front. You know, obviously really close to wrecking between the 20 and the 8, and guys maybe backing off in some accordion here. We've got Mark Andretti already spun all the way at the top of the field. Comes down in Dale Quarterly, and other cars just dodging the miss and locking down brakes. I wonder what further back, probably exited turn 2, how Marco got turned sideways.
Doesn't look like Leland Honeyman had much damage. You see that's Patrick Emmerling, the blue and white car behind Marco. This is about the time the caution is going to come out. I'm not sure it's out yet.
Yep, you saw it on the
wall
right
so the
there.
caution is out, but I'm not sure anyone had backed off yet.
They looked really stacked up in that outside lane. I don't know if the couple of leaders were backing up, but you know, Marco was really tucked up. I believe that was the 55 at Gus Dean. I think he was trying to stay off of him, and whether if that's due to the fact that Marco doesn't really have a rear bumper anymore? You know, is that what makes that push go so bad, or is it just that big of a run? Kind of hard to tell from the front-facing angle, but either way, yeah, hooked Marco in front of the field.
Watch right side of your screen. There's the 17 of Marco.
Yeah, so Marco actually never even gets to the back of him. So he was just trying to stay off of the 55 because he got checked up behind I believe, LeVar Scott. Just a bit of an accordion there.
Yeah, Marco may have tapped the brakes to keep him running into the 55 of Gustine.
How about the camera work of our crew? It's been a long, long day.
Sure
Second
has.
race of the day. Before that, we had Cup Series practice. We had qualifying for trucks, qualifying for Xfinity practice. So hats off to all of the hard workers, producers.
It is the 30, I think, isn't it?
Bonsignore's car.
Bonsignore, yeah.
That's pretty bad
That looks like an oil leak of some sort.
So 38 laps to go. It's been an eventful one. Didn't have many laps under our belt before the big one happened.
Big Willie Mullins takes off from the pole.
Yeah, the first incident here really quickly with a couple of teammates racing at the front of the field, and a little bit of contact and taking out a lot of good fast cars very, very early in this race.
You know, Tony, when we interviewed her, she thought it was all Gus Dean, but I'm not sure Gus Dean didn't get pushed from behind by the 0-2 of Leland Honeyman.
Yeah, I think just a product of being really aggressive early at the race, bad push, and not able to hold the car in a straight line. And yeah, obviously she was very frustrated. And then we've got pushed here through the trial, another bad place to push, and very fortunate no other cars got involved in this wreck. And you know, Christian Rose was able to keep all the fenders on his car. As we have some really close calls there. And now we come to our race break here, and a bit of an accordion.
I'm just impressed by that save.
Marco keeps it out of the outside wall.
He's still got one fender left on it. He's got the right front.
I don't think Willie Mullins made any contact or significant contact with anybody. See, Hard Rock Bet came on board this Marquette Terry Jones car.
I bet this car isn't going to see the rest of the race, unfortunately.
I see what you did there.
You like that?
I do.
I appreciate you.
Race summary here. Leader Jake Finch, the 18-year-old. 5 different leaders.
That's too bad for Justin. I mean, every time I feel like I watch a modified race, he's winning it. And
40 times he's won.
40 times that's a big number.
Yes, it is.
And I feel like he was really doing a good job in the middle of the pack.
Well, it's time now for our Richmond mid-race report. We send it down to Amanda.
Jamie, just a quick update on that smoke coming off of the back of the 30. The team does think that the oil is dripping on the headers, but look at the race leader right there as he popped in. Sean Core, he led laps here last year. He finished 3rd at Daytona, so he has experience here on the super speedway and knows how to get it done. In this stop, you see the tires going on. They can make changes to the car as they will, as long as they get out before the pace car. Heather, what you got? Well, Jake Finch, one of the Venturini teams, decided to stay out as well. They're going to go back to saving fuel because they pitted under that last caution. But Jake asked his team, what do I need to do better here? Spotter Tyler Mon said, we just need you to relax. You need to keep a steady wheel when you're up on top. No aggressive movements and easy on that wheel. Another gentleman that stayed out is his teammate, Gus Dean, who's pretty good here at super speedways. Daytona hasn't been his best, but right now they're just getting shuffled to the back, so they're going to work their way up to the front. But one thing that he's been thinking about all day is his grandfather, Charles Dean Sr. He passed away 2 weeks ago, but he's riding with Gus Dean on the car. His name is above the passenger side window. It says Granddaddy. That's what everybody referred to him as. And he used to tell Gus, get what you can. Anytime that he was racing, his grandfather would tell him that. So tonight he's thinking about his granddaddy, as we all are.
And Gus said his grandfather didn't miss a single race. So racing with a heavy heart, and how neat that would be for him to get to go to victory lane in his honor.
Yeah, in his last days, he said if you're in Daytona when I pass, you don't come home. You race down there.
Aw. All right, we are under caution for the 5th time. We'll line him back up. Jake Finch will once again be the leader. Look at that action. Marco Andretti goes for a wild ride. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. So you know my other job is selling cake, nothing but cakes. Our featured flavor right now, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. We have real Reese's Peanut Butter Cups
not.
in it. It's
really
amazing. We do Reese's Peanut Butter like drizzled over the top. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, I just watched Phil tackle a little Debbie faster than you could ever imagine. Hungry Hippo over here. They've got Phil past his bedtime out here, ball and chain to this stool, calling double duty races.
It was an intimate little bite.
You earned it.
Sure
you earned more than one of them, honestly.
I might wait till the next commercial.
Oh, they could only see the bag of snacks they handed you, and you just said, "What is that?" Now you have a bag of candy. Our Sioux Chief fast track driver is LeVar Scott. Talked a little bit about him and his young career, just making his 7th career start. He's full-time with Rev Racing.
He did a great job in this race last year.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the end of this race for a number of reasons. We got a couple of teammates. I think Greg's a bit of a lone ranger up there in the 35 car, but I'd love to see what LeVar Scott and Andres Perez can do working together against these Venturini cars.
Yeah, LeVar was 3rd in East Series points last year. William Sawalich actually won the ARCA Menards East Series championship. Luke Fenhouse finished 2nd, and LeVar was 3rd.
I want to go back to something Heather DeBow reported on Finch. They're telling him to just relax, calm down. Does that ever work for you?
Sometimes it's a good subtle reminder that there's other people like watching and that care about you. As funny as that sounds, like, I don't know, sometimes you get that reminder, it's good. Other times it depends on the driver, depends on the team. Like, you know, sometimes you might not want to hear that information, like, dude, I'm calm, like, just give me information. But otherwise, yeah, I would say Jake's definitely has a lot going on, and it's great for the team to want him to keep it simple. And I think as you get close to the end of this race, though, I think keeping it simple is only going to get you so far. You're going to have to understand what's happening around you and to be able to be proactive on the runs that are coming. But he's clearly got a very fast car. He's got a very capable teammate with Gus Steen that's along with him in the draft, and looking forward to seeing how he handles this 2nd stage of the race.
Yeah, he's already led 30 laps. Let's get a couple more reports. Heather, we'll kick it off with you.
Another thing to focus on is trust in your spotter, and that's what Danny Johnson, crew chief for the 6th of LeVar Scott, just told him. He said, listen, you have to trust what he tells you. He's one of the best spotters up on the roofs, 2nd to TJ Majors in Danny's opinion. So LeVar right now really needs to listen to what moves he wants him to make. Amanda?
Heather, I stopped by to talk to Tim Richmond, and he was taking a nap prior to the race. So I talked to his dad and team owner, David Drisman, and he said, yeah, my boy is just calm, cool, and collected. And that's what helps him in these scenarios. He said he was so proud of the qualifying effort he did today, the best of his career.
Amanda, there's a big story with this car he's driving, the 27. This is the one that was stolen at Kansas. I believe it was 2 years ago. They got it back. They've obviously repaired it, and here he is racing, and he's been running in the top 10 the whole race.
Drove it like you stole it back, right?
I think we used that line, right? All right, Finch leads him on the inside. Greg Van Alst on the outside. Andres Perez is right there in the mix. LeVar Scott as well. Teammates side by side in the 2nd row.
Looks like both rows are very organized right now. They kind of distance themselves from the back of the pack. But I think these are going to be the cars that decide the end of this race. I think we haven't seen a lot of Andy Jankowicz's car today, but he's been a contender at a lot of these races as the bottom lane seems to be able to prevail in these restarts a little bit better than the outside.
Yeah, this is the first time that he's showed any muscle up here towards the front. Andy knows how to get it done here. Had some great finishes last year running on a part-time basis here in the ARCA Menards Series.
Andy J, that's the gray number 73, 4th car on the inside that we're speaking of.
Wheeling Engineering on board.
Sponsorship, but he's still a pizza delivery guy. Every time he gets a tip, he puts it in his racing jar.
And I asked him down in the garage here, I said, you still delivering pizza? Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not going to stop that.
I love it. Ryan Huff back there trying to fight his way back forward. The 36. Let's get an update on Andy J, Heather.
And you talked about that pizza delivery. Well, this is the car that he bought with his tips a couple years ago from Kenny Schrader. And every car he has, he names. This one is Mary, short for Hail Mary, because he literally put his entire savings into buying that race car. But Andy is good on these super speedways. He had a little bit of trouble earlier, but we'll see if he can keep it up front and get a nice finish tonight.
Hail Mary. You don't get those stories in the Cup Series, Austin.
That's fantastic. I absolutely love everything about this series for those reasons.
See Greg Van All side drafting very aggressively on the 27.
This outside lane's getting a bit of steam back to it. I think if one of these guys pulls out front, I want to know how badly Gus Dean wants to get back to the front of the field and back with his teammate. Because if Greg Van All is able to pull this outside lane through, that's going to be the only chance he's going to get to be able to promote himself back to the front of the field.
Yeah, we talked about Gus losing his grandfather, and he said, I'm going to win this thing for my grandfather.
He already won this week. He was racing over at New Smyrna, went to victory lane, dominated the race on Sunday night. You know, I looked at his schedule. He's racing at least 6 times. Saw
by the 44.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, another great spot to not push is entering the corners. So we've covered all the spots to not push, and that's one of them.
Thomas Annunziato.
Yeah. And the reason why that is because the car just gets really light as it drops into the banking. Got a lot of damage on I believe Leland Honeyman's car. Got a car in the grass here. We are still under green.
Brian Roulette, he's got a lot of damage. He's crab walking.
Front of the field is now single file. Like I said before, that business in 3 and 4 with that car on the apron really separated the field. We've got everyone single file. And
yeah, all the way back, single file.
It's the first time we've actually seen this the entire race.
We're losing cars, Jamie.
We are.
It's difficult when your pack's a lot smaller to be able to generate the runs on the outside.
And there's a long way to go here, so there's no reason for these drivers to jump out of line here. I mean, if we're inside of 10 laps to go, then maybe we need to do that.
Well, that could have been another Reese's Sweet move of the race. Remember, on Monday, visit ARCARacing.com and see who's crowned Reese's Sweet move of the race. Is this another one?
Big Willie saved it.
He saved it. What a great save.
The magical day continues. Hang on to it, Willie. He's keeping it down there.
And that is separated the field even more. Man, I wonder if he just got loose there.
I think there might have been a little bit of a touch there from Armani Williams.
Add it to the list of don't push here.
Yeah.
Wow, what a good save. Look how much steering he's got in that thing. On board here from LeVar Scott. I mean, he is. That reminds you of that Kyle Busch save. I don't know if it was 2015 or
when he won the Clash. When he won the Clash.
I mean, he is. I mean, look at the tire tracks he's leaving.
He's more than 45 degrees sideways.
And Big Willie never got out of the gas. He's standing on that thing. What a save. Good man.
Visuals. Yes, I think that's a nominee for the Reese's Sweet move.
That is absolutely dovetailing off of your Reese's Sweet move.
It was.
Yeah.
He did that as I was reading
I think that's the favorite right now.
Big Willie. First pole. Nice save.
I'm sure he's not as enthused about it as we are.
He's not. I'm certain of it.
There's a second pack now led by Armani Williams.
So LeVar Scott was up there.
We got LeVar Scott and Greg Van Alst
earlier, but yeah, he's falling back. He's about 9th right now.
And it's tough to figure out what to do in this situation. You know, what I've realized with these cars, the moment they get too wide, it's really going to pull this pack together. But until that happens, these guys are going to have a tough time, pulling these stragglers back up forward all the way to this front 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, Tim Richmond and Sean Cora losing touch with that front 4 right now. Once they were caught, which is going to be in a matter of seconds.
And all that's going to do, if they don't pull out of line here, they're going to get slowed down. They do pull out of line, get too wide, which is going to slow these guys down even more and distance themselves from those front 4 cars of Jake French, Perez, Gus Dean, and Jankowiak. They're really sitting pretty, but I think the 73 car is also struggling to hold on to these 3 really fast cars.
While they're single file up front, we're going to step aside. Just 26 laps to go. Look at the visuals on that. And they saved it. And right after that, another save. Who will hang on till the end? Find out soon. Welcome back to the Sioux Chief Fast Track 200. You're watching the ARCA Menards Series. Jamie Little joined by Phil Parsons, Austin Cindric, Heather DeBow, and Amanda Busick are on pit road. And we are under caution once again for the 6th time now because of this. Sean Corr with an incident.
Yeah, originally, Austin and I thought maybe he cut a tire, but watch, the car's going to start sparking like maybe he's broken a track bar mount or something like that, but it's going to turn it sideways.
He's running 6th at the time and does a good job keeping the car off the wall, but does bend the nose up quite a bit. And like Phil mentioned, I think something more suspension related happened there. I mean, you saw a piece go flying and hit the outside wall, but all 4 tires are up once he got stopped.
Once he drives away from this, though, it looks like he's trailing some sort of fluid. So don't know whether that happened when the nose came down and hit the apron or not. You can see how it's bent the nose up there.
Yeah, tough deal, but it will definitely pack us back up here with 23 laps to go as he's obviously out of the car, and I think that's day done for a fast car for Sean Corr.
It's going to be terminal for sure.
That's got to be frustrating, running 6th with 23 laps to go, and now his day is done. So Jake Finch continues to lead. Andres Perez, Gus Dean, Andy Jankowiak will be back. 22 laps to go. Stay with us. This is the 61st annual ARCA Menards Series race, and there sure have been some notable winners over the years. Your brother, Benny Parsons, Tim Richmond, 1981 winner.
How about a young Ryan Newman back in 2001?
Shoulders weren't as big then. And of course, Kyle Busch, man, he's done some winning here at this racetrack. Hasn't won the one he wants. The race on Sunday, the Daytona 500. He still has a place for that trophy somewhere.
Well, these caution laps are going to help these drivers that are trying to make a 65-lap run to the end. Last pitted on lap number 25, the top 4 in the running order pitted on lap 25.
Oh, I believe Amanda may have caught up with a former ARCA Menards winner here at Daytona. Amanda?
Jamie, I think what's awesome, there's 21 laps to go, and the drivers on track are going to be looking to add their name to the list of the notable drivers that have won here at Daytona. And that's why I got this guy, Grant Enfinger. You talk about winning at Daytona. I asked you off camera, where does that rank? Tell those guys.
It's definitely special. I mean, anytime you can point the victory lane here at Daytona International Speedway is special. Just driving through the tunnel is special here. But to come to victory lane, it's obviously special. Had a few good nights here, a couple in the ARCA car and one in the truck. I was aiming for one of those tonight. It just it didn't work out. Kind of got caught up in the last lap chaos there. Both me and Cody did. And then CR7 also has an ARCA car here. They got caught up in one of the first lap crashes in the ARCA car. So typical kind of Daytona. I always love this place. Sometimes it loves me back.
One of the things that I love about Grant Enfinger when we're doing our research, especially from the truck series to ARCA, I often see you hanging around in the ARCA pits. Does it ever leave you?
I love racing. So, you know, I love racing. I enjoy this stuff.
I'm not going to ask you about Phoenix anymore, I promise.
You can ask me.
Thank you, Grant.
And we talk about this being a development series. I mean, so many of the faces that you saw winning in this series have now moved up. I mean, there's many notable winners. How about the last 3 champions in the ARCA Menards Series? Look at him here. How about Nick Sanchez? Just got his first career Truck Series win about 2 hours ago.
You see Ty Gibbs up in the Cup Series right now. He parlayed an ARCA Menards Championship next year, an Xfinity Championship.
And Jesse Love, no doubt, he's going to have something to say in the Xfinity Series this year. 10 wins out of 20 in this series last year for Jesse Love. It was quite impressive. And guess what? That 20 cars leading here tonight has led the most laps.
Yeah, those 10 wins remind me of a guy, the last guy to win more than 10 times in the modern era, and that was Tim Steele. And unfortunately, we lost him within the last couple months. What a great talent. 3-time champion here in the ARCA Menards Series.
Thinking of his family, I'm glad that you mentioned that. So 20 laps to go. Jake Finch has done a heck of a job. He's led 43 laps so far. Andres Perez in his second season here. First time ever at Daytona. Green flag is in the air once again.
We got those Venturi teammates lined back up again. Which is going to be pay some big dividends. Is a bit of a question of not clear.
Yeah, Andy, not clear. Tim Richmond's there.
Andy J in the 73 trying to get into that bottom lane. There's Greg Van Alst wondering where he went. He slipped back a few positions.
Tim Richmond's made a nice recovery up here in the 3rd spot on the inside line.
Ryan Huff taking a peek there on the outside.
Remember we were single file before that caution came out?
Not anymore.
When's go time?
Ooh, great question. I think it all depends on how long this outside lane stays in. We've got 2 really, really fast cars.
And around goes the 99. That's Michael Maples.
The wall. Oh, gosh.
And another huge hit. And they hit again.
And there's Shane.
Mentioned Scott Melton.
Is that Big Willie? That was Big Willie that hit Scott Melton.
Willie Mullins right there in the 3. He was the pole sitter.
Looked like he hit him really hard, and then it looked like it hung the throttle wide open almost. And
yeah, a couple big impacts there. Obviously, Scott Melton getting hooked head on into the wall. He obviously had a big wreck here in last year's race, and I'm sure he's disappointed with that result. And Big Willie with pole-sitting car, unfortunately stranded in the grass here.
Curious what happened to this car right here, Michael Maples. It looked like he was the first to go around. Wonder if he had some help.
Yeah, it was announced that he will be running full-time this year for Andy Hillenberg. Look at all the damage to Big Willie's
They're having to
Mustang.
help him get that window net down. Usually drivers will put that window net down if they're able. That's a good sign that they are okay, but since they are helping him, just want to make sure he's okay.
You can see Scott Melton moving around in his car on the right.
They're continuing to talk to Willie Mullins. So let's take a look back, see where this all went sideways.
Look for that 99 car in the right side of your screen. Gets pretty wide coming off the corner and just loses it.
Just got loose.
He's got something sparking back there. I think he had some sort of an issue where he lost the back of the car because he was kind of tracking up the racetrack all the way on the exit of the corner by himself, and then obviously collects kind of a bystander there in the 69 car, and Willie Mullins hits a ton in the back of that car.
And it's hard to see it from this angle, but there was a lot more smoke than it looked like, probably from the angle that we were looking at it. So Willie was probably in that smoke.
Yeah,
he's going to catch Melton in the right rear corner.
Tell you what, that was a great evasive maneuver by that black car there, and a lot of these other guys missing some of this debris. And then you got SVG here coming to pit road and just rejoining the race, and he tattoos the infield.
Chantel, the 75 goes around.
You could see it right there where you mentioned that it looked like the throttle hung. Hoping that Willie is okay. So violent, you see that impact. They have brought the red flag out, but I'm hearing the fans all applauding, so that is usually a very good sign to say that they see the driver exit the car. Of course, very thankful for that. Yep, there he is.
That's a great sight right there.
Darn.
Waves to the fans.
Not the way he wanted to see his day end. It was going so beautifully. The emotion that we saw in him when they announced that he had the pole, it was just beautiful. He and his wife just hugging and everybody coming up and high-fiving him.
I know I was talking to him and his wife Dinah yesterday, actually before qualifying, and she lost her father just in the last couple of weeks, and said he's the reason they're able to do this was her father. So they have his name on the car. And
well, it's good to see him walking under his own power, getting back to the ambulance, clearly aware, talking with all the safety workers there, and he'll get checked out. So
Dinah's dad's name was Dutch. Called him Dutch, and that's the name on the top of the car.
Aww. Quite a bit of cleanup from this latest caution. That's the 7th one of the evening. Red flag is out, 17 laps to go. You hung with us this long? Stick around. Let's see who wins this. It's the Suchi Fast Track 200. You are looking live at the moon as we are approaching 1 a.m. in the east, but it's still prime time in the west. So we appreciate you all joining us for the ARCA Menards Series, and we're hearing from some drivers that are watching us. They're in their motorhomes just kind of tuning in and can't believe that we're still going strong. And yes, we are live.
We got race fans still here too. I love the commitment of the Daytona area race fans.
It's fantastic. They got a last-minute double header.
Absolutely,
Just supposed to be the trucks tonight, and they got the ARCA Menards Series action. Hey, Jake Finch, we've been talking about him doing a fantastic job, has led the most laps. Let's dial him up.
Let's do it. Hey, Jake. Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear, Phil.
Man, you have done an awesome job. We're really proud of you up here, and I know your dad's proud of you up here. James, your dad, James, has won here twice in the Xfinity Series, and I know if you can pull this thing off, it'll be the biggest win of his career.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, just got to get the job done first. It's not finished yet, so if we could get that done, it'd be awesome.
Well, you and your teammate Gus Dean have really done a nice job working together. There's some other strong cars up there, but do you guys have a plan for the end of this thing?
I have no idea so far. Just trying to do my job up here and do what I'm told. You know, I got Shannon Rush on top of the box, who is such a good guy and has been such a big deal in my career. And same thing with Tyler Mont. He's like a brother to me, and he does a great job on the stand up there today and Sunday, tomorrow in the Daytona 500. So super grateful to have these guys behind me, and just excited to see what we can do.
Hey, Jake, it's Austin Cindric watching you here. Have you ever looked in the rearview mirror this many times in a race?
Actually, I haven't looked at it many times tonight. Just have a lot of faith in Tyler and everything he says. You know, he does such a good job, and just try to listen to what he tells me and do what I'm told, and it'll all work out, you know.
Awesome. Well, best of luck. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Austin.
So much trust in your spotter. I mean, right there, he's not even looking in his mirror much. He's just listening.
Good for him. Love it.
That's awesome. Let's get some reports. Let's check in with Amanda, who's with a very happy father right now, right?
Absolutely. And Jamie, we're almost rounding into that 1 a.m. time, and I love that Phil called it ARCA After Dark, because David just told me his nickname is Sunny. And we were talking earlier just about you being out here and sharing this experience with your son, and you told me how cool and collected he is. But how are you with this part, the watching?
Well, what makes me very nervous is Tim's a journeyman lineman. He works on 60,000 volt power lines. That makes me nervous. Out here, he's in his safest equipment in the world. You know, he's been collected in a couple accidents, but this year versus 2 years ago, we got a great crew. 2 years ago, we ran out of gas in overtime, and so we think we're good to go. We pitted one lap after the Venturini cars, so we got one more lap of gas than they do, so we think we're good to go to the end.
He's currently sitting in third. There's 17 laps to go at the present. What would you say to him right now?
Just nervous. Wish my wife was here, but she's at home.
Thank you, David. Good luck.
Thank you.
Didn't he say he wasn't nervous? He's more nervous about his day job, and here he's not. And he's like, the dad overtook, and I'm nervous. I love that emotion. Let's hear from him. What do you think?
Yeah, we talked to the dad, see if we can talk to the son. Hey, Tim Richmond, Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I got you, Phil.
Well, we just talked to your dad, and he said he's nervous. You're doing a great job up here, running in the third spot. Inside of 20 laps to go, you got a plan to try to get this thing to the front. We know a couple years ago you were fighting for the lead and ran out of fuel. What do you got for him?
Try and make it to the end, Phil. You know, it's a race of survival. A lot of things can happen in these last few laps. So, team's done a great job all night. They've worked effortlessly getting this car put together, making it fast. So, hopefully, we can just make it to the end with a good finish for us.
We certainly have done a great job. Finish it off.
Appreciate it, guys.
The emotion of the parents. Just love it. This is a huge moment. His son has been running top 10 the entire race. You see the 27 listed as third right now.
Well, we know Dave's nervous. He said he was nervous, but Tim sounded pretty cool, didn't he?
He did. Gus Dean, we've probably talked about him more than anybody tonight. He's been aggressive, made a lot of moves, kept him up there.
When I look at our top 7 cars, they're honestly probably our 7 best cars. So I think we're going to have a lot of guys trying to jockey for position at the front of the field. It'll be interesting to see what the Venturini cars do on this restart, having to be lined up 1-2, inside outside. Do they do a teammate restart? Do they just race it out? And then having the rev cars up there as well, being able to, are they able to hook up and run together? And I've talked about him. I think he's impressed me more than the other driver trying to get to the front of the field. Our winner last year, Greg Van Alst, trying to kind of recover that track position from some of those times where those outside lane dies and he falls back to the field.
Heather, who do you have?
Well, catching up now with our leaders, crew chief Shannon Rush. And Shannon, we heard Jake talk about how good of a guy you are, but also you have a special relationship. You tend to bring wins to the Finch family, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just really fortunate. I get along great with him. James is a great guy. I like Jake too a ton. First time I worked with him was at Dover, and we won that race. So I joked around with him in the off season. I said, maybe we should just stop here and we could be at 100%. So hopefully we can stay at 100% after the race tonight. But he's been doing a great job.
Now he's had some nerves. So what are you telling him to calm those nerves?
Anything I can. He doesn't. It's probably the biggest stage that he's ever been a part of. Obviously, he's been here several times with his dad's teams, but it's tough for a young kid. It's just I don't know what to tell him. I tell him everything I can think of, but he's done great. He's gotten better every one of these restarts. I wish we could run some green flag laps here and just kind of get single file and just drive to the end, but I've had to force him to drink fluids and eat, so hopefully we can take this number 20 Phoenix Racing Toyota Camry to victory lane, and I'll spray him with water.
Well, good luck on trying to keep it 100% and getting another win for Jake. But we're going to talk to another crew chief as part of the Venturini Motorsports team. This is Kevin Reed Jr. for Gus Dean. And Gus does well here, yet you kind of have a little bit of a curse. So are you going to overcome that tonight?
I hope so. And I mean, working with Gus, like working with the Iceman, nothing shakes him. So I wouldn't want anybody else driving this 55 Dean Custom Air Toyota Camry. We brought our friends with us, and it looks real friendly on that front row right now. But we're going to work together, see what we can do, and then we'll battle it out at the end.
Now, you're right behind Jake Finch right now, so teammates come into play. Obviously, you guys lost a few of those early. So is there anybody else you're looking to work with, or are you going to stick with the team?
Nah, like I said, we brought our friends with us. I think that's our best shot we got. We're going to do some teammate restarts here and go shut this thing out.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I like it. And Heather, you're wearing Venturini blue. Fit right in, girl. How about the ladies working the pits tonight? What a long day. Doing great job, bringing the energy. Got 16 laps to go. And going back to Shannon Rush. So he talked about the close relationship he has with James Finch, and he's been in that organization. Do you know he was actually the crew chief for Brad Keselowski when he drove that #1 Phoenix racing car to victory lane in Talladega? That was 2009. He wasn't listed as the crew chief, but he was the physical crew chief there. So he's got a pretty good track record with them.
Well, Shannon's clearly won a lot of races in this series, and I don't know about you, he almost seemed kind of nervous for the end of this race. He clearly cares a lot about the family and the job that Jake's doing, and I think this one seems like it would mean a lot to him.
He said he'd spray his driver with water.
Well, he's only 18, so.
That's right. Well, Andres Perez, we've talked about him as well. He's in the #2 Rev Racing full-time this year, running third right now, and he's done a great job tonight.
Remember, he wasn't old enough here last February to run this race.
Look how cute.
He's born in 2005. Goodness gracious. He was a Mexico Truck Series champion. He actually ran full-time last year in the NASCAR Mexico Series while he was finishing second here in the ARCA Menards Series. He finished in the top 5 last year in points in the NASCAR Mexico Series, and he ran the race out at the Coliseum, the NASCAR Mexico race, and had a top 10 finish there.
He was actually the youngest winner ever in the NASCAR Mexico Series. So he's been doing a lot of racing in his career. We're happy to have him full-time here. Just knocking on the door of his first career win. Just like Nick Sanchez was all last year, and he comes out swinging first race, gets that win. So 15 laps. Jake Finch continues to lead. He's led 48 laps tonight, has done a heck of a job. Gus Dean right behind him. It's been a minute since he's gone to victory lane. He's pretty hungry for that.
He finished second last year at Talladega and second at Michigan in the limited number of starts here for Venturini.
They're continuing to clean up here, so we're going to step aside. 15 laps to go. You got to stay with us. We'll be back for the Sioux Chief Fast Track 200 finish.
David Pearson now moving up from third position into this three-way battle for the lead. But look at this. Mario Andretti, who led earlier, burst past these other three cars.
The man that's leading this race, he's the one that's struggling. The one right behind, he can just sit there with all kinds of confidence.
Right now, however, it doesn't look too difficult as he wings out in front of the field at speeds of over 180 miles an hour here at Daytona. Mario Andretti ready to take the checkered flag, and there it is. He made it. Mario Andretti has won the 1967 Daytona 500.
How about that footage and the call by Jim McKay? Seeing Mario Andretti, the IndyCar guy, the open wheel guy, comes down here and wins the Daytona 500. And now we're talking about his grandson, Marco Andretti, who he's beat up and bruised and battered. He's been through it, but he's currently 13th and still on the lead lap.
Yeah, certainly a top 10 is not out of the question here at all for Marco.
Let's take a look back at one of the incidents he had.
See, Marco's getting to experience every angle of Daytona today.
Yeah, the backwards part isn't that much fun.
Backwards part, the grass. He's had quite the cultural experience, introduction to the ARCA Menards Series. But to your point, Jamie, he's still on the lead lap. Still 13 laps to go. Yeah, being caught in this draft can easily make a beat up car look faster. That's for sure. So should be interesting to see what he thinks of this experience after it's over.
And the guy right next to him, Christian Rose, he had that huge save. We called that the first Reese's Sweet move of the race. And he's back out there. He's got a chance, sitting in 12th right now.
So we heard from some of the crew chiefs at Venturini Motorsports. It sounds like they're doing a bit of a teammate restart here. So letting the 20 come down in front of the 55, and that should really help this inside lane get going. So you know, the sooner that the other cars, the other teams can recognize this and take advantage. But otherwise, the goal here is to really string out the bottom.
I like the strategy here for the Venturini cars.
So it'll be 12 laps to go at the line. Jake Finch, Gus Dean, side by side. Let's see if that gamesmanship, that team, it did exactly like you said. The 20 slips in front of the 55. Tim Richmond in the 27 in the outside line, getting that energy.
How about LeVar Scott leading that outside line with Greg Van Alst?
Tim Richmond falling back like a rock, no help at all. You see him going backwards in the middle.
He's going to fall to the very back of the pack, no help in the middle.
And what's happened here is we've got two of these Rev Racing cars really close in proximity to where they can work together and really take the fight to the Venturini cars.
Van Alst on the bumper of the number 6, LeVar Scott. LeVar Scott's teammate is the number 2. He's third in line on the inside.
Yeah, LeVar Scott would love to be able to get with his teammate.
Ooh, big save in the back of the field off the front bumper of the 44 again. Unfortunately, this outside lane just doesn't have enough cars, doesn't have enough strength on these restarts to really be able to recover. And it takes a while, and we've got two of the fastest cars at the front of the field.
See at the very tail end of that pack, the 32 of Christian Rose, a nice recovery from his spin earlier.
Absolutely.
I asked you earlier, Austin, when is go time? And so often in the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, they say with about 10 laps to go, that's really hammered down. But you said it's situational.
Absolutely. And right now, the situation is this lead pack is getting away. And if I'm Greg Van Alst, if I'm LeVar Scott, my opportunity to win this race is driving away from me. And with only 10 or 11 laps left, you have to be able to understand what it's going to take to get back to the front of the field. Whether if that's getting organized, does that mean you're getting down to the bottom of the field? Obviously, you've lost touch with your teammate. The only teammate in the field is third right now. So he's definitely in a tough spot, and I think your guys that have an opportunity are these 6 cars that are in a single file line. You know, our spotters going back and talking to each other. You know, between the 2 car, the 73, the 13, the 62. You know, are we finding spotters making deals, trying to figure out what it's going to take to pass these Venturini cars, generate a run, and when you get too wide, it's going to pull up this pack of 2 wide cars back really quickly. So I think having a plan here in the next 10 laps, spotters are going to be running around on the roof trying to understand what's going to work best for them.
And Annunziata in a 44, he doesn't want to just back off and let the 6 in front of him, even though that would probably help if they could get single file. They're not that far behind that 6-car pack.
A huge run there from the 35, really stacked up this outside lane, and it's kind of released Annunziata and Andretti to really try and close back up to that lead field. I'd be interested to see if they could join them, because now they don't have that side draft effect.
I'm really impressed with the 17 of Andretti, that he's hanging on as well as he is.
Yeah, right now running up in the top 10.
LeVar Scott trying to close in on the bumper of Marco. But where did Van Alst go?
Unfortunately, he's still stuck.
There he is on the outside. Trying to make something work, drops down in front of Ryan Huff.
So now with this field single file, you should be able to see everyone start to close back up to these leaders. And then at that point, who's going to pull out and make a run?
Yeah, you're going to have the momentum when you get there. That may be the best opportunity. But you're going to have help.
I completely agree, but you can't pull out of line without help.
Yeah. That's where the spotters need to be working together. Say, hey, if we get there, will you go with me? Annunziata decided not to take that run. He didn't really have any help from behind. I don't think he had enough momentum to even try it. He's in the 44 car.
And Van Alst does have a teammate, but he's nowhere in sight, so he's out there by himself. And he's the type of guy, he goes around in the garage, he talks to the guys that he watches in practice. Things will run well with him. So you think he's kind of picking and choosing at these moments who he knows he can trust and try to move forward with?
Yeah, well, I think trust is the big factor, because here in everyone's kind of got an equal gap right now. So the only way to generate a run is to generate a gap. And when you generate a gap, you have to lift off the throttle and trust that the guy behind you isn't going to just leave you out to dry, or going to be able to deliver a push that's comfortable enough to get to the front of the field. As you see some pushes coming from the middle of the pack there from the 44 car.
How about that blue and white number 13 of Romani Williams right now, running up in the top 5, doing an amazing job.
He's kind of been quiet all day, kind of just snuck up here in the top 5, but he's in great position right here, you know, to be able to be one of the first ones to make a move, as there's a ton of energy, as he's tucked up right behind the 73, and it's right in that part of the pack where he's got enough cars behind him that I think are poised to go out and help. It's just understanding the right time to make that move.
The 62, Steve Lewis Jr., haven't talked about him, from Ransomville, New York. He has Reed Sorensen as his spotter. Saw Reed walking around today. Longtime Cup Series driver.
He finished 13th here last year, so he does have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, he's in the right place when it counts most. 6 laps to go.
Meanwhile, no change at the front of the field. Jake Finch got the best view out of anyone in the field, and I question his feedback on whether or not he's looking in the mirror, because that's what's going to become really important, and how long they stay committed.
I could not look in the mirror.
Oh, I mean, it's either a lot of trust in your team, or you just trust that your car's fast enough. But when it comes down, I mean, we're 5 laps to go left in the race. You're starting to get nervous. Things are going too well at this point in time, and there's guys behind that have got to be getting impatient.
I mean, I think we typically look in the mirror probably 50% of the time. I mean, just glance out front and then look in the mirror. It's just a constant.
There'll be laps that I'll be leading at a super speedway, and I never look out in front of me. I mean, you sometimes just have to be glued to what's going on behind you, and in tune with the information that you're getting from the spotter. But I think everyone has to do that differently.
It's going to be 4 to go this time when they get to the line.
You know, we came into this race, and it's always the question, who can stop Venturini Motorsports, if anybody? They've won 8 of the last 13 races on super speedway race tracks. Corey Heim, the last one to do it. He did it here in 22. And Jake Finch, boy, working 60 laps led so far tonight. So impressive for this young man.
We've got a car on fire.
We've got a car on fire. There it is, Marco Andretti. He's had that damage, had a couple issues earlier, and the caution is out for the 8th time with about 3.5 laps to go in this race.
Oh, wow. More than likely, we will have a 1-lap overtime shootout. I don't think we can do team orders there. I don't think there's any way that that they would allow team orders like that, or the teams to do that.
Yeah, it should be really interesting to watch the strategy here as you see Marco get out of the car. And what happened here, obviously they're all just running single file, so whether that's just from damage from before, started smoking on corner entry there, turn 1, right front tire flat into the wall, probably cuts an oil line or something, caused that fire.
He was running up in the top 10. When we talked before about him running just outside the top 10, it was not out of the question, but that's going to be the end of it for Marco.
Tell you what, our newcomers have had a very tough time.
Yes, they have.
A modified legend, you know, have a mechanical problem. We got, you know,
oh, look at the smoke there, Austin.
Marco Andretti struggling. We got Shane Van Gisbergen out in the first wreck. These guys have not had an easy introduction into super speedway racing. That's a tough lick with the right front going down on corner entry from the bottom lane.
So you mentioned overtime. So they do have 1 overtime, as you mentioned, in the ARCA Menards Series. So what would happen is they'd get 1 attempt at it. They'll bring out the white flag and the green flag together, and then the next lap will end the race. Whether that's a caution, the next flag would end the race. So if it's caution, it freezes the field. And then, of course, if it's the checkered flag, we'll have our clean cut winner.
Talk about an important restart now.
Oh, my other question is, how many laps of caution are we going to have?
Yes, and remember, these drivers in the top 4 right now, all pitted on lap number 25.
So what does Gus Dean do? Does he play Mr. Nice Guy this time around?
Well, I can tell you I have yet to see a restart where the outside lanes hung in there the entire lap. So I think if I'm Jake Finch, decision's really easy. I want to be on the bottom.
Inside, without a doubt.
But the conversation within the team, do you do a teammate restart or not? It's a way of guaranteeing your team a win. There's that. And I feel like if I'm Gus Dean, honestly, it's probably my best chance to win the race too. Because I've yet to see the outside lane really pay dividends. They were really able to string out the field by at least four cars clear on the inside row before the start-finish line. So I think that's probably Gus Dean's best chance to win, is if they do the teammate restart, as backwards as that sounds. But I don't see them getting enough of a push on the outside to make it happen.
Well, there's Billy. He's trying to figure that out right now.
That's a great position to be in as a team owner, but a very difficult one. The whole teammate thing on super speedways is very challenging to navigate, and I can see someone navigating that at the moment.
I see him stepping up to the 20 box right now to talk to Shannon Rush.
He probably already talked to Kevin Reed Jr. Now he's going to go talk to Shannon.
Can they say, no, I don't like your plan?
Well, I think
they can say that.
It's important to set ground rules, just like it's like being siblings. You got to set ground rules when you work with each other, and I think getting everybody on the same page, and then whether or not if the drivers are in spotters and everyone on track is able to execute it, that's another thing. But it should be interesting to see what they decide.
So we're going to have a good finish here. It's been a fun race so far, but we have more racing to come. We've got the Xfinity Series tomorrow, and then on Sunday, the biggest day in racing. It just got a little bit bigger, as the Grand Marshal will be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He'll kick off the Daytona 500. Great American Race returns Sunday at 2:30 Eastern. That's only on Fox. And the guy standing to my right, Austin Cindric, great qualifying effort. You will lead the field. You'll start the field 6th in the 3rd row.
That's not bad. It's
not bad.
Only 5 more spots over 500 miles. A spot every 100 miles. I'll take it. It's a great opportunity. Biggest race of the year. Really looking forward to it. But looking forward to this restart. See what these guys decide. See what happens. Whether if there's teammate strategies or a lot of aggressive pushes. I mean, this is your time to go, and we've seen a lot of aggressive racing already.
We talk about teammates, and they've always talked about how good a teammate Gus Dean is, but this is Daytona. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It changes your life. You guys always say that, right?
I don't think Gus is going to be okay saying, well, I'm going to just push Jake to make sure we finish 1-2, and I don't want him to be. I don't want him to be like that. And Jake, obviously, he's only 18 years old. He's probably going to have a lot of other chances, but this is Daytona. You never know when you're going to get that next chance.
And another point is neither one of them are running full time for the championship. It's all about the race win.
Absolutely.
So have at it, boys.
It's about the trophy.
Okay, so we just showed the clock. It's about 1:25 a.m. in the east. So I asked our stat boys, what's the latest we've raced here? So they said the latest a race ended here was 2:40 a.m. Back in 2015. It was the summer race when Dale Jr. won. So.
Well, I'm happy to hear we're not breaking any records.
We won't break a record.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
I believe that was the last time Hendrick won the Daytona 500 was back in 14. Is that right, boys? I feel like it's been about 10 years.
Tell you what, all that speedy dry in the middle 1 and 2. I wonder how many more caution laps we're going to have here. We just saw crew chief on the 20 car.
Fuel too now.
He's looking a little worried. Shannon was. It was. I don't know where they're at. I don't know the mileage of these cars, but we have gone a very long time since we pitted.
I mean, I think green flag laps, they talk about somewhere between 46 and 48, but obviously they know they can extend that because of the caution laps.
We've done what?
I mean, we're at 74. We're at 74 right now, 74 laps.
Yeah, the top 4 drivers, they last pitted lap 25.
Laps.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much time we've been on this broadcast. That's like two hours of driving your car. I mean, that's 55 laps since pit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ton of laps, and we've obviously a ton of cautions, but we could see some cars run out of fuel here. It's definitely not over.
About 25 of those laps under caution, and I know that's another thing. A lot of these young drivers, they've never really had to do this before. Never had to try to save fuel. I guarantee you, this is the first time Jake Finch has ever had to try to save any fuel, and I'm sure they talked to him about how to do it. And maybe the 25 caution laps are going to be enough to have them have enough fuel to get to the end here.
Well, the one thing I saw in that graphic there, we've got 2 drivers that last pit on lap 37. That's the 13 car and the 62 car. Those are the first cars that, at least us, who don't have all the data and information in front of us, we know that those guys can make it, as well as Annunziata. So those are the first cars that you know can make it on fuel and aren't going to be in threat of running out. But even as we sat on board there with LeVar Scott, you know, I'd normally say you're shutting off the car. You're pushing the clutch in, you're shutting the ignition off, and you're using no fuel. And I didn't hear that out of LeVar, so maybe there's not as much of a concern, or obviously miscommunication from the team if there is a concern on fuel. So certainly interested to see if this plays out in the strategy at all.
That's Andy Jankowiak. Let's see what he's thinking right now, Phil.
Let's see if we can dial him up. Hey, Andy J. Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
I can hear you.
Great. Well, Austin and Jamie and I were wondering what's your plan here? You're in a great spot right now. You're going to restart second row outside. You're more than likely you're going to have one of the Venturini cars. We're assuming that maybe it might be Gustine. Have you guys talked to them at all?
Nope. I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor, and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man. Sounds good. And I know you have a great relationship with the Venturinis. I know when you had trouble last year at Kansas, they jumped in to try to help you. But like you say, every man for himself, right?
I don't think I have a great relationship with anyone with one lap to go at Daytona, so we'll see. I'm in a great spot. I love my Class Motorsports team, and what the hell, we got a shot to win this thing at Daytona, so we're going to give it our best.
That would sure make that pizza taste good when you get home, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything you do.
That was phenomenal.
I am not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag. That is the quote of the day. Thank you, Andy J. Looks like we're going to do at least one more lap of cleanup here.
No wonder he gets so many tips.
One to go.
Gets enough tips to pay for his race car. I mean, talk about pizza delivery. You must be pretty quick at that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
It looks like they may have the same situation here. Gustine is going to be on the inside. Jake Finch took the outside. They certainly executed it well the last time. Looks like Brad Smith is blowing up as he goes through this tri-oval here.
Oh boy.
He's pulled down off the racetrack and is getting out of the way. I don't think that'll cause any issues.
Yeah, but to Phil's point, we got Jake Finch, who chose the outside, which we've already established isn't the preferred lane. So we're doing a teammate restart again. We're giving both of our cars a shot to win. As you see the 48 of Brad Smith, he came by start-finish line under our booth here smoking, and we got safety vehicles kind of following wherever he ends up.
Yeah, he's well out of the way right now. He's around the end of pit road, well out of the way.
This affects when we go green.
So you saw the overtime rule once again. It'll be a one-lap shootout. Next time around, the drivers will receive the white and the green flags. They will have one lap to settle the score. And if the caution comes out, that's where the field will be frozen. Otherwise, they'll race around to the checkered flag. Now we're being told they're going to add a lap of caution because of the Brad Smith issue. So obviously he was leaking some fluid.
I want to see sweat on crew chiefs' foreheads right now. Is that a thing? That'll tell us.
Yeah. Yep, yet another lap.
And it's another lap for these drivers that are lined up behind these Venturini cars. It's very obvious what they're going to do. So how do you combat it? Are you able to get locked in with the cars that are behind you and push through and try and generate a run? You kind of know how this is going to play out. You know how many laps are left. You know when the race is going to end. You know how everyone is going to handle the start. So you have the entire playbook in front of you. Each driver's trying to think of that scenario right now as we have extra laps.
Yeah, for Andres Perez right now running third, do you try to get behind Gustine and push him so hard he's not able to lay off the throttle a little bit to let Jake in?
Yeah, I think honestly, as much as we kind of laughed about it and smiled at Andy J's strategy, in this situation is the best strategy. You just drive through the car in front of you and keep as much momentum as possible and hope that it disrupts, the choreography of this teammate restart.
Yeah, they did it perfectly last time. If they can execute that again like they did, then it may be tough to do anything about them getting together. Now, once you go down the backstretch, all bets are off. Maybe you can get together with some other guys and make a run on them.
And there might be some more importance behind the finish of this race and this teammate restart. And we talked about going for the win, but Venturini is going for their 100th win in the ARCA Menards Series, and that's a big milestone for the team. And I'm sure they're pretty poised to make that happen between these two cars.
Let's check in with Heather real quick.
And catching up now with the crew chief of the two for Andres Perez, Danny Johnson. Danny, I hear your spotter up there working through a plan with your driver. So what are we going to see him do when we go green?
We're just going to try to see what we can make happen here. Go for the win. That's what we all come here to do. One of the biggest races of the year for us. So we'll get after it here and see if everything falls out the way it needs to be.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I think there's some nerves.
Totally.
A big moment. 3 of the top 6 drivers right now have never raced here before. Jake Finch, the leader, is one of them. Andres Perez in 4th. And Armani Williams in 6th in the 13. So as the drivers come out of turn 4, they will take the green flag and the white flag together. This is ARCA overtime.
One more lap to decide it. One more.
One lap shootout. We've been here a long time. You all have been watching and listening for a long time. Here it is. Everything on the line. Who will win at Daytona? There they go, side by side, the teammates. They head into turn 1. Jake Finch, Gus Dean.
They weren't able to do what we expected as far as the teammate restart. It's delayed a lot further, and Gus Dean has the advantage now as the second place car. And Andres Perez has a big run here. He's trying to get clear. Gus Dean's getting way too far out in front, and we're gonna have a run from the outside as well.
Jake's gonna have a run. Now it seizes up a little bit. Little side draft on Andres Perez.
It's going to depend on which lane gets the bigger push.
Oh, no.
Jake Finch goes around and dominated this race, wrecking all over the place at the front of the field. That will end this race. Andres Perez, huge hit on top of another car. Gus Dean in the 55 will unofficially be the winner of this race, winning the 100th race for Venturini Motorsports. His 3rd career win in the ARCA Menards Series. Celebrations all around. His first win since 2018. And what a moment for Venturini Motorsports. We talked about the 100th win. They had been looking forward to it last year. They kick off the season by getting it with Gus Dean. We've been talking about him all night. Drove a heck of a race.
Undoubtedly, Austin, there were not team orders, or else they didn't work very well.
Yeah, I mean, they had 2 bullets in the chamber there at the end of the race, and whether they decided they just wanted to cover both lanes or however that went down between the team. Obviously, they had 2 of the best cars in the race, and really unfortunate for Jake. I think he drove a really great race, was put in a lot of unique positions that you would only really get in super speedway racing, whether if that's leading the pack, listening to your spotter, the teammate restart, saving fuel, executed it all really well, and unfortunately doesn't have to finish the show for it. But obviously a great result for Gus Dean and the 55 team.
Let's see what happened here on the final lap.
Just a lot of pushes, and there was a lot of momentum coming back to that 3rd row, and that outside lane started it. And yeah, just a lot of pushing and shoving.
Yeah, I think Andy J was in the back of Jake, and I think Andy J had Lewis in the back of him as well, and
yeah,
they all just
it was almost simultaneous. The inside and the outside got to the 2nd row at the same time and just kind of fishtailed each other into both lanes.
Watch Perez in that 2 car up against the outside wall.
He's actually climbing over another car here. He stays mounted on top of the 73
Andy
car.
J's car.
Is that Armani Williams?
It is. It is.
The 13. What an impact for Jake Finch. Led 66 laps tonight, only to go straight into the wall on the final lap. Here's another look.
Yeah, Jake's just going down the straightaway, and they start pushing and shoving there, and
should be good onboard view here from Perez coming up, as he's obviously the car that's
he's on top of Andy Jankowiak's car.
This could be a wild ride. So he's getting the side draft, thinks he has a chance to win this race, and then lots of pushing and shoving. 20 gets turned into the fence, and then 2-car goes for a ride.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing pictures.
There he is. Fought so hard. Gus Dean drove a great race. Brings it home for his grandfather, who he just lost his best friend a couple of weeks ago. Said he's going to race and win for him, and he does it. Gets that checkered flag. Nothing but smiles. And Amanda Busick is there.
Gus, we know you were racing for a lot here this weekend, especially in memory of your grandfather. This milestone win becomes the 100th for Venturini Motorsports, and you are now a Daytona winner. How sweet does that sound?
You know what? I started racing when I was 4 years old at a tiny little dirt track in South Georgia. It's been a whole lot of miles, a whole lot of work, and a whole lot of people behind me. My granddad came to every race I ever ran, and every single one of them, he would tell me to get what I can. Even at the end when I would call him on the phone. Well, tonight, we got what we could, and it might not be the 500, it might not be the biggest race, but it is the biggest Coliseum, and for a small town kid from Bluffton, South Carolina, this is everything.
Gus, you got everything that you can out of this tonight. One more question for you. I want to go back to that restart real quick. Talk about the communication between you and Jake and what the orders were there.
Yeah, we, Venturini cars always work really well together. We always try to do the teammate restarts. We did the restart before that one. I love Jake. He's a great kid. He's a hell of a race car driver. He's got a big, bright future ahead of him. I just didn't have it in me to do the teammate restart there with one to go. I had a little bit of a special reason for tonight, and I came here with one mission.
Congratulations to Gus Dean.
Wow, what an interview. His emotion, very poignant. He knew exactly his mission tonight. He was motivated by his granddaddy.
Yeah, and that was his dad that he was hugging there too.
I think it's another great example that this race has provided for what Daytona means. I mean, you come to this weekend and you think of the Daytona 500, but for these guys, I mean, this really is everything, and this racetrack means so much to so many people. That's why we have race fans here watching this race at almost 2 in the morning. It's to see moments like this and obviously victories like this, and obviously Dean was able to really put it on the line and get that win, because that meant more than anything to him.
And Heather is caught up with our second place finisher.
Thomas Annunziata brings it home second in his ARCA debut. Thomas, could you have dreamed of a better finish with all the craziness we saw during that race?
Yeah, first would be nice.
Yeah.
But no, after being in the rear most of the time and then making a pit stop mistake on my part and having to start dead last, I just kept my foot in it. I had to learn how to modulate the runs here and there, but we got back to the front, and everyone at Jeff McLaren and Nitro Motorsports did an amazing job this weekend. The spotter up top was amazing. They coached me throughout the entire way, so I've never done this before, so I'm happy to get the result that we got. And like I said, I wish we got one spot higher. I would have liked to put this car in victory lane 34 years after the movie Days of Thunder, but maybe next year.
Great job tonight.
Thank you.
It's great seeing new faces. That's what this series is really all about. Let's take a look at our top 10 in the Suchi Fast Track 200.
What a nice recovery for Christian Rose with a top 5 finish.
Even Jason Kitzmiller, he got involved in that wreck on lap 1 or lap 2, whatever that big one was, and the damaged race car, still able to make it happen with Amber Balkin in the top 10. Andy J, unfortunately, was running up at the front of the field there, had a car mounted on top of him, still gets a 10th place finish. Pretty incredible.
How about one of our international drivers, Jill Leinster, getting a top 10 finish?
5 different countries represented in this race, and we're just getting things heated up. We've got Saturday and Sunday to come. Cup Series practice tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Xfinity Series qualifying after that at 11:30. Race day kicks things off at 4 p.m. Before the race, it's the Xfinity Series race at 5 p.m. Eastern. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the action tonight. This doubleheader. What a race it was, from the drop of the green flag, all the action, all the way to the end. Daytona always delivers, and we hope you enjoyed it. For Phil Parsons, Austin Cindric, Heather DeBoe, Amanda Busick, and all of us here at Fox Sports, I'm Jamie Little. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow on Fox Sports. Good night, everybody.